Hey, coming at you from my sexy bed. I was just doing some research on the riots for my upcoming video, and I saw this hologram thing of George Floyd, and I don't know if you've seen it. If take a look at it, because it's. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that, to be honest with you. Like, a fucking hologram of George Floyd. Like, don't get me wrong, man. George Floyd shouldn't have died like he did, but I really don't understand why he's being celebrated like he's some kind of hero. The guy's a felon, and the guy was like fucking up his life. He like abandoned his kids essentially, and did loads of drugs. Only cared about himself. He fucking beat up. He did a home invasion and beat up some woman and held a gun to her head. She was pregnant as well, apparently. He's done a lot of fucked up shit, man. Like, yeah, I understand he shouldn't have. That doesn't mean he should have been killed by the police, like, not in the slightest. But I don't think he deserves to be celebrated either, you know? I think that's. Why is that happening? And it made me think about something. I don't know if you know the name David Dorn. David Dorn was a police chief in, I think in Minneapolis, but I can't remember off the top of my head. It might have been St. Louis. And he was killed during the riots. Yeah, it was St. Louis, sorry. And he was killed in St. Louis, trying to defend his friend's pawn shop from looters. And he was a man who was like quite a good man, like he really tried his best to do everything he could for his community, essentially. He had a bunch of kids, he had a bunch of grandkids, he was loved by everybody that knew him. But he didn't really get any national recognition when he passed away. He got some local news coverage, a couple of local fringe kind of news outlets wrote some articles and stuff. But nobody, well, I say nobody, I mean like on a national scale, nobody was really paying attention to that for some reason. And it got me thinking, like, when I see that hologram of George Floyd, and, he was buried in a golden casket, remember? And then you see someone like Dave Dorn who gets almost no recognition. It just seems very strange. It actually reminded me of the Bible a little bit. Maybe you remember this story, Jesus and Barabbas, where at Passover, Pontius Pilate has like a kind of tradition where they'll let a prisoner go. He's gonna probably be executed or something, and they they give him a pardon or whatever. And Pontius Pilate goes, okay, so we've got Jesus here. Pretty good guy. Can't even really understand why he's here as a prisoner. He's just been living his life, doing some good stuff, helping people. I know the Jews don't like him, even though he is a Jew. Kind of weird, but that's your fucked up bullshit. I don't care. Don't really know why Jesus is here, but apparently you all want him dead. Well, we can let Jesus go, or we can let Barabbas go, who is like a notorious criminal. I think he was a murderer or something. Not really a good guy. And everyone was just like, yeah, we'll have Barabbas, please. It's just like... And I bet Jesus was just stood there just like, all right, thanks a lot. Cheers for that one. And it just made me think of that. Like, obviously it's not literally the same, but there's a parallel there that on the one hand you have this criminal being lifted up as some kind of hero, like a martyr, just because he was unjustly killed by the police. And then you have someone like Dave Dorn, who has almost no recognition, no acknowledgement of his existence by the mainstream media or anyone else. And I can't help but see it. Like, I just can't help but see this weird little paradox going on. Like, where are people's priorities at? You know, like, where are people's principles, their virtues, their values? Where are they at? Like, what? Why is it that George Floyd gets the attention, and when someone like Dave Dorn, to me, when someone like Dave Dorn dies, that should be national news. It should be his hologram. You know, give him a fucking Michael Jackson hologram thing. You know, like, David Dorn is the person that should be celebrated for uplifting his community and doing whatever he could to make it safe and livable for people. St. Louis is like one of the most dangerous cities in America, man. And, you know, people just don't care. People just don't care, man. It's crazy. It's really crazy. And what blows my mind more and more is that the left-wing people always position themselves like they're the empathetic ones, they're the compassionate ones, they're the ones on the right side of history, they're the ones who are fighting for justice and all this stuff. Yet they will celebrate a criminal and they will ignore the death of a great man. What's just about that? I really don't get it. It feels like a very corrupt moral system is in place. People are operating under a very corrupt way of thinking where they don't have principles. Like, none of these people have principles. Fighting for justice is not a principle, because that idea of your justice is subjective. So justice, if you're a paedophile and you're fighting for justice, well, fighting for justice for a paedophile would be, well, maybe we need to get rid of age limits and stuff like that, so we can be free. And, you know, oh, it's an injustice that paedophiles are looked at in a bad way. That fighting for justice is not a principle. It's just a way of saying, I want to fight for my agenda. That's basically what it is. A principle, the difference between that and a principle is something that you can apply, which has nothing to do with, like, politics or your... I suppose it still is an agenda in a way, but, like... So, for instance, if you have a principle of being anti-racist, for instance, that means that you are anti-racist when anyone is racist. Okay? Like, not... It doesn't matter the colour of who is being racist, you are against it, right? But these people on the left, they don't have that. They don't have that idea. They also don't even really know what racism is, I don't think. A lot of the time. To me, racism is an attitude. And I think a lot of left-wing people have it, personally. I think the way they think about black people and, you know, people of colour and all this bullshit, I think they really do look down on them and pity them. I think pity is very bad. I think it's a very bad thing. You shouldn't pity people. It's very patronising. Like, I don't think... A lot of people on the left, I honestly just don't think they think of black people as people at all. I think they think of them as, like, fucking pets or something. But like I say, a principle... A principle is like saying... I won't lie. You know, like, that's a principle. Or I'm against... Like, a principle is just more specific, I would say. You know, saying that you fight for justice is too vague. And I think that's where the left wing is quite vulnerable. Because I don't even think they understand their own ideologies properly, really. Because a lot of them aren't really based in principles. I mean, how can you have a principle if one of the root ideas in your movement is to deconstruct everything? Like, if you deconstruct a principle, you just don't have anything. You know, you don't have... Basically, you have to be a constructed person, I guess, in order to even hold principles in the first place. Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of just rambling now, but it was just like some weird thoughts bouncing around in my head. I keep seeing these paradoxes and these parallels all the time between different things, and I just think, I feel like there's something in it, you know? Like, there's just something there. Like, why would I be thinking it otherwise? Why would I have this thought pop into my head about Jesus and Barabbas and David Dorn and George Floyd? It's just it just feels like we're in a very scary world where people are really just not thinking things through, like, at all. You know, I don't know, man. I think it's leading us to a really dark path. I think the left wing's obsession with, you know, deconstructing everything, and Marxism and nihilism and hedonistic lifestyles, and combating the family structure, and they just don't give a fuck about anything, really, do they? They just don't really give a fuck about anything. Like, a lot of the moderate left-wing people probably do. But the thing is that they tolerate it. They tolerate all this talk. It permeates through, like, their culture and their media and stuff like that. And they just don't really bat an eyelid to it. In fact, I think a lot of them don't even realise that is the undercurrent of what's going on here. I think they're kind of, like, unwittingly going along with it. There's probably a similar effect on the right wing. I mean, I can't exactly say what that is. It's probably like, I don't want to get banned now, but it's probably to do with some kind of, I don't know if I can say this on YouTube. So maybe I'm just not going to say it on YouTube, but there are people who maybe running things behind the scenes, who, you know, the rich want to get richer, and everyone's like a puppet in helping them achieve that. And that could very well be true as well. Like I was saying in my wrestling video, it's very possible that both sides are in on it, really. The left wing and the right wing both stoke the flames of discontent for their own agendas and for their own pockets, you know? I think that's... and then behind closed doors, they pal it up in their secret societies and laugh at how retarded everybody is and how easily manipulated they are. But in a way, it just kind of doesn't make sense, because the right wing is kind of about... like, they want families and they want freedom within families, right? So basically the idea being, if you have a 2-parent household and kids and you're less likely to be in poverty, this gives you more freedom as a person. It gives you a better life, quality of life, not just for yourself but those around you as well. And you have more freedom to move up and down the ladder too then, as well. And also they generally seem to be against big government. Although, to be honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of... Maybe someone can correct me on this, but I haven't seen a lot of Republicans in the past or at least in my lifetime, that have been in power, that have stripped back certain government regulations, like the war on drugs, for instance. I would say that's like kind of a big government thing. Maybe it shouldn't exist. You know, that could be considered a conservative standpoint. Maybe it's more of a libertarian one, but at the end of the day, that is big government really intruding in people's lives. And yeah, I haven't seen many Republicans calling to strip that back. Obviously, they'll strip back regulations that benefit them. You know, corporation taxes, whatever the fuck they feel like. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this now. I honestly don't know where I'm going with it, but I just wanted to share these thoughts. I was just thinking about them while I was doing this research, and I just thought I kind of just put it out there, see what people think, see if there's any deeper meaning to some of this stuff, because I just feel confused, honestly. I just feel like the world is just going down this path of just lies and hypocrisy and bullshit. Yeah, I just don't think any of this is taken us in a good way. When you see a hologram of George Floyd, you know something's going wrong in people's heads. Something is going wrong up here that they can't distinguish, like that they are celebrating a criminal. It's weird. It'd be like if they had a hologram of Jeffrey Epstein or some shit like that. Like, people would be outraged by that. Let's say Jeffrey Epstein was unlawfully killed by the police, which he kind of was, I suppose. Not that anyone gives a shit, because let's face it. I mean, honestly, I wish he didn't die, because I wanted all the stuff to come out about him. But at the end of the day, I mean, the guy was scum. You know? The guy was scum. I don't have much sympathy for the fact that he did die. Really. I save my sympathy and my empathy for people like Dave Dorn, who deserve it. And yeah, imagine, like, if somebody had a hologram of Jeffrey Epstein, it would be considered disgusting, right? And immoral and in bad taste. Yet for George Floyd, it's okay. It's okay. This man who beat a woman and threatened to kill her and her child, or unborn child, this paragon of morality is celebrated with a hologram. Let that sink in. Yeah, well, that's enough of me rambling on anyway. Thanks for tuning in again, guys. And I will see you again soon. Yeah, boy.